This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone. What a perfect start to today's sunrise safari. It's overcast, the sun is not quite out, but June and her little bug are out at the hyena den in Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is very, very exciting stuff. So I'm going to stay here for as long as I can before bumbling, but it's that time of day for your live safari through the African bush. I'm so happy to catch some hyenas at this den. It's been quite a while, I must say, but what we are going to do right now is reposition because clearly June and her little June bug have got their backs to us, which is not ideal. I don't see any other hyenas present. But my name is Lauren and I do have Davy on camera, and you can see it's very, very overcast. It's definitely not that warm, sunny morning, but it makes it nice and cool for us. So just bear with us while we get to the other side of the den. I come to the den every single morning, and for some reason the past few mornings it's not been active. Not one single hyena. So it's lovely to see June here, and I'm just gonna position really carefully. Hello, June. It's so lovely to see you. Okay. Is that good? Oh, isn't that so precious? Although June bug's getting big, I must say. So before I forget, this is all happening as you see it. This, of course, is your live and interactive safari, which means you must talk to us. Send in your wonderful questions that make us think and all your lovely comments. And how do you do that? Well, you have a number of options. You can use the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. You can use @FC on the YouTube chat. You can also register on the Wild Earth webpage and head over to the live safari page where you submit your questions there. Or if you're under 18, kids, please email us. We want to answer your questions. And you just send an email to kidquestions@wildearth.tv. June, it's been a few days since I've seen you. And that unique expression of yours. But I believe Andrew saw June yesterday. I think she was possibly near the wild dogs. And she doesn't look too full. Oh, look at that paw. I just can't. I can't handle that. But anyway, I'm very excited about today. It's Andrew and I, and Davy and Simon's last day for a while. We'll all be back, don't worry, but Tristan and Steve will be back tomorrow for an all-boy team here at Djuma. So I need to make sure I race round and see all the animals. So of course the hyena den is the first stop, as always. But there's no sign of anyone else. And yesterday we spent quite a fair bit of time with the hyenas in the west from the Elephant Plains clan. And that was also fascinating. One of the hyenas we saw was the same one that we saw with Nzutini the other day. So it's the same individuals you see time and time again. So I think I need to invest in starting to learn the Elephant Plains clan. Sherry, you're saying cuteness overload. Tell me about it. There's nothing like starting your morning with a dash of cuteness. A large dash of cuteness, shall we say. And of course, you will have Andrew and I in Djuma, but we will also be coming to you from Pridelands and Tswalu this morning. So hopefully, we will have lots of excitement over these different locations. I may try to go back west to see if we can get Cara again. She may actually even be back on that jackal kill, which was very, very sad to see yesterday. And Inzutini was around as well. So we may head back west, but I've also heard rumours that Tandy's Cup is south, so there's just so many decisions to make this morning. I always get asked, what's your plan? Sometimes I actually have to think, what is my plan? Because as soon as you get out and you start talking to people on the radio, your plans change. Christina, you love June's sweet face. She does have a really sweet face, doesn't she? June's a lovely hyena. She obviously lost Swana, but she was very successful with Sutu. And Sutu's a young, fluffy female that we sometimes see at the den, who's just like Swazi with regards to just constantly wanting to play with the cubs. And of course now the Sutu is old enough, she's got this lovely little bundle in her arms right now. And Sutu was born in November 2018. Yes. So that means she's also just over 2 years old. And I think all the other cubs will be in the den. Being nocturnal, it's completely normal for once the sun starts to come up, all the cubs to just go back into the den and sleep all day. Hopefully the sun will burn through all these clouds, so and we'll have a glorious day ahead. The dawn chorus is already starting. All the birds marking their territories. And what they're doing is saying, hey, I made it through the night, I'm awake, I'm alive, I'm still here, and this is my turf. Ladies, come and get me. What do you smell, June? Our sort of sense of smell is so dulled down from being a human. It's not something we really fully use. And I always just wonder, imagine having olfactory capabilities like a hyena, where you can just navigate the entire landscape using your nose alone. As a young kid on a Saturday night, my mother would play a game with my brother and I. It's fantastic Saturday nights, where we would find the most unusual foods with unique tastes and unique smells, and she would bring it through on a big tray which was covered. She would blindfold my brother and I know that sounds very strange, and we had to taste and guess what we were eating. Of course, it was competitive, naturally, so it would be things like Old English mustard and gherkins and beetroot and the most unusual foods. And it's such a strange experience because you can't see. You don't really use your sense of smell. You're solely relying on taste. And then we did a smelling game where we had to smell the food. And it's a very good sort of experience that we should do as adults, to just block off all your other senses and rely on one sense, one that you don't normally use because we're primarily visual. And just try to navigate for a short period of time using that sense. Smell food. Really smell food. And you'd be surprised at how difficult it is when you can't see it or you can't touch it. Yes, that was my Saturday nights as a child. Davi, shall we play that game?
Let's.
Okay. But really, it's good. It's very stimulating for a child as well. to sort of rely on other senses. Okay, so we're going to stay here just a little bit longer because it's far too precious. But for now, we're going to send you across to Andrew to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Juma Private Game Reserve this morning. We're just also checking the dam here, where we last night left the lionesses and the young male and the sub-adult. And now we're just checking here. They're a little quiet with impala running around in the background. So you would know there could be that they're around hiding. But we're going to find out because we checked the western boundary. There was nothing there. My name is Andrew. On camera, I have Simon this morning. So this is a very dam that we had last night. So it's always so important to go to the places where you left a sighting, check what happened, because sometimes they can stay around for probably longer when they want to. So that female, Shumungwe, she came from the west all the way down here. For her, it's actually far too much east. But due to the hunting, it's always for the lions. They can overlap their area, enter somebody's area. And it's still pretty quiet and cloudy, which is cool for cats to get on move still. But also, this is where the dog was running around yesterday, and he finally walked away from the pride, which it was a very good idea there. So I'm going to check a few roads here, and then we found out if these lions are still around, or even the dogs, if they're ever still around. There's very much tall grasses. When they decide so he's saying it's such a beautiful scenery. Yes, indeed it is beautiful. And especially it's still very early morning where the temperature is still low down. All plants, grasses are still pretty much nutritious, moisturous. They receive the whole night. We didn't actually have rain, but whenever the temperature dropped, the soil was still wet. So then all plants then they will probably rejuvenate and then provide a green. So we'll probably do also a lot of off-roading here because it's some open area we need to check. See if we find our line. So let me send you over to Lauren while I'm doing checking around.
Fascinating stuff. Let's listen. That was a minuscule whoop. Corky's daughter. Everybody's coming out. Ribbon called them all out. Every single cub is now out. Would you look at that? Why didn't you come out when we arrived, everybody? Davy, we definitely didn't get the same response as Ribbon got.
Nope.
Fascinating interaction between June and Ribbon, everyone. June went very submissive, as to be expected. Ribbon was not aggressive at all, in any way, shape or form. She didn't even put her tail up. But June went down on the ground, very submissive manner. Sorry everyone, this Dane is... it's not so easy to navigate. Has June just left, just like that? Wow. Ribbon really didn't kick her away. She just came to sniff, to call her boys, and June just left. Made a lot of vocalizations and just left. Good morning, everyone. Oh, there's a cub, Dovey. KJ, you're saying the sounds are so unique, yes. Especially the cub. The cub trying to vocalize is really very sweet. They're still learning, they're still practicing. And Ribbon's face, everyone, is covered in blood. Look at Heart's cubs with their tails up. Why have you got your tails up, munchkins? Oh dear, Ribbon. What did you feast on? One can only imagine. You know, Ribbon's very patient with all the cubs. She does her greeting ceremony with every single one of them. And she lets them sniff and poke and prod. And she's very patient with them all. Look at this. This is Corky's daughter just being hyperactive. And Ribbon just tolerates it all. Michael, I know it's slightly scary how big the cubs are getting. Sometimes I even get confused when they're all moving so fast. And when I come back, I'll have to sort of readjust. They're getting so big so quickly. They've all got their own little personalities. Ribbon is waddling somewhere. She is that full. Ribbon, where are you going? If Ribbon disappears, of course, that means we will have to leave, which is rather sad. Junebug, you stay in the den, please. Bruce, we're not entirely sure. She was seen on the dam cam carrying the cub. That's how we actually knew that she had a cub. The dam cam picked it up. And Trishala came here and believed that June deposited the cub right in this den. Now, normally a mother would do that, bring it to the communal den around 4 weeks. But because there's other cubs, it's a little bit risky to bring a very small cub here when you've got Ngwazi, Shambulu, and Heart's pair. Not that they would intentionally hurt the little cub, but they could be a bit too boisterous, a bit too adventurous. So sometimes mothers can wait a little bit. So I think June's bug is definitely over 8 weeks now. She's very mobile. Have we just lost everyone just like that? Can you believe it? I think Ribbon's down here. It's a little bit tricky to navigate. So I remember pinpointing June was pregnant, but we don't actually know where the natal den was, which is where the natal den is. Ribbon's just gone off here, but it's rather tricky and rather thick. I don't know whether it's in our best interest to let them be and pop along later. So we got very lucky that June walked past the jam cam with the little cup in her mouth. Very, very lucky. But it's Intima that's bugging me, shall I say. I feel she is or was pregnant, but we've just not had any sort of further signs or further indications that she's given birth or she's denning. I really wanted to solve that mystery. Okay, I think we'll leave the den for now. There's a few other areas I want to check. And then we can always come back, especially if it stays nice and cool. I believe there's dogs on the dam cam, everybody. I'm not sure if Andrew's heading that way. FC can update me. Andrew is heading that way. I think Davy and I will go south then. And see what we can find down this way. So we may as well try and check for Tandy's cub. Maybe they've reunited, maybe Tandy will be there as well. And then if not, we'll try and go west and see if we can get Cara again. A lot of the branches are so low-lying now that we have a few accidents with our antenna. Let's see if anything's going on at Treehouse Dam. Okay, so Davy and I are going to continue bumbling south, and for now we're going to send you across to another location.
This is Rusty. He's my favorite vehicle and we've been through all the good times here in the bush. Now, if you feel a connection to Djuma Game Reserve like I do, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you. You can have your name engraved on a brushed metal plaque just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now.
Our first Wild Earth Explorers competition has closed, and we have a winner. Congratulations to Chantal Sleep from Benoni in South Africa.
I felt totally overwhelmed for winning this prize. I will be taking my son with me, and I can't wait to share this experience with him.
Chantal and her son have won a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala tented safari camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay and a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse.
I would like to thank Wild Earth for making this dream come true, and I encourage everybody to subscribe, to become an explorer, and stand the chance to win these amazing prizes, and so much more.
For this month, we have a brand new prize. You could be jetting off to Tswalu in the Kalahari for a 3-night stay at the luxurious Motsi Lodge. Open to all Wild Earth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply. Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
All very quiet at Treehouse Dam. So we're going to head to Gowrie Main and see if we can pick up signs of anything happening on the southern boundary. Of all the boundaries, Gowrie Main's my favourite. I don't know why. It's not a nice road. It's definitely not aesthetically pleasing in any way, shape or form. But it's very productive in terms of animal life. You can see what animals cross up and what animals cross down. Jerome many times, not so much in Djuma. We saw Swazi and Ndebele, they were hunting. They were absolutely hunting a wildebeest calf the other day across quarantine, but I'm not entirely sure if they were successful or not. I want to say they were because I haven't seen any wildebeest calves, apart from the newborn that we saw the other day. However, absolutely in the Masai Mara, we've got lots of footage of the North clan up there, which is a very large clan. I mean, I'm talking 90 strong, if not more. 90. It's a huge clan. When we look at the Djuma clan, it's very, very small. And yes, they do hunt. They just also scavenge. They just make use of every sort of unique specialization, every ecological niche. They're not really specialized. When you become too specialized, that can sort of be the start of your very own demise as a population. And that's what happened to the Ethiopian wolves. They became too specialized on sort of one small group of prey, which is the rodents, the giant mole rats. And therefore, now they're too specialized. They're not able to occupy any other ecological niche apart from this small one. And hyenas are not specialized at all. They'll eat anything. But Jerome, they absolutely do hunt. We just don't see it here, but you've got to understand what we're dealing with. It's so thick. Even in winter, it's still thick. You still have the drainage lines. You still have those areas that are just completely impenetrable with a vehicle. But not, of course, if you're a hyena. But in summer, my goodness, it is so dense. I mean, there could be a leopard sitting right there where Davi just showed you, and we would not know. Unless we can see the tracks and we can see it's gone in. If there's no other signs, then we would not know. It's so thick. So the fact that we've had so many incredible leopard sightings recently, I was saying to Davi, I think I've seen every individual that we regularly see, if that makes sense. Other than Sabui's cubs, I've seen them all. This stint has been really incredible, especially for summer. If a leopard doesn't want to be seen in summer, it will not be seen. So I do wish we saw hyenas. It's not so easy to see. So I'm going to check the southern boundary, but for now we're going to send you across to Andrew with those wild dogs.
So now we got the dogs, and they're still around Gowrie Dam wall and looking at the water. And looks like they're gonna head straight to quarantine again, the way they're moving west. So it's cool there because then it's a lot of a wide and open area. And it looks like all of them there, so it's great news. So this is all about hunting. When I check around where they hunt by smells, sense of hearing, as well as sight. So it's so cool that they would, if it's a chance that it's something, they would probably going to spot it. So I'm going to go and closer look at them. So we're looking at them from far. Yeah, they're heading straight to quarantine. James, so you say it's fantastic to have these dogs again. I agree with you, and I'm always happy. You know, and dogs actually is very good to watch, especially when they're doing their activity, running around hunting. So you won't get tired of watching them. Okay, we're gonna take this view over here and see if we can, because they're moving now straight to quarantine, but we're gonna follow them. We're just gonna give them space so they can do their thing. They're on the road, so I don't think we're gonna miss them this time. Okay, let's move up. So we need to be close to them, so in a time they shoot out, we know which direction they might rain into. Already saw those are with us yesterday, how fast they were to disappear. So I'm going to be sending you across to Tswalu to say hello to everybody.
Good morning, good morning. It is a beautiful morning here at Tswalu Kalahari. Quite a bit cooler than yesterday. Guys, by the way, my name is Moritz. Behind the camera we've got Craig, and it's not often that you have to, as a guide, make way for something as small as a guinea fowl. These guys are adamant to try and continue down the road. They're feeding on all of these little creepers that's on the road at the moment. And so we've had to reverse quite a bit to try and, make way for them. But they are continuing to either feed on the little growth points of the, see there he's trying to hide now. He's bathing in the sand a little bit. Feed on the growth points of the creepers, or there might be something tasty that they're feeding on. Not always sure, you can't see what they're seeing. But very cool to have them this close to the car and completely relaxed. Beautiful, beautiful faces, and, those combs that they've got on their head is just stunning. With a guinea fowl, guys, as you can imagine, with them being ground nesting, they lay quite a bit of eggs. Also, they're quite an irritation for most of the predators around, because they act as the unofficial alarm system, or the self-proclaimed alarm system of the bush. So what they do is, when they do see something like a lion or maybe a leopard or something like that, you'll have them move towards the predator and start vocalizing quite a bit. And so because of that, and also because of them being that perfect chicken-like size, you can imagine that a lot of them gets eaten. So yeah, guys, with them now moving off, we're going to head over to Andrew, and we're going to follow up on trying to see if we can see some lion tracks.
Good luck, Maura, finding lions. We got dogs here in front of us, which this is actually an amazing sighting this morning, to have dogs on the move. And weather like this where it's cloudy, so they will probably end up far when they want to. and they're pushed by hunger. And also, if there is no available species that can hunt here, they can just get going. Let me try keep up with them. So we're on a quarantine here on the eastern end where there's no single antelope for now. Oh, there is one, but I think they haven't seen it. They're still moving on. So there's impala. Actually, impala saw them. And that impala is spraying that, okay, you guys, you have to move away from us. But yeah, they missed that. They actually didn't see it. And they're listening. Let's get close to them. James, so you're saying the Pungwe packs have been spoiling us lately? Yeah, it's true. You know, since we had them now this is what a 4-5 sighting already. I think we had since they had us or they with us, so it's good. Following dogs always never go wrong. And they're trying to spread around here now. That impala's got to be careful because they now moving west and they're probably going to have a visual of it. And when they do that, they're going to take chase from that far. And then they're going to continue moving in it until they got it down. So let's see. Get closer so we don't lose it. It's easy to disappear here. If they're going to run south and there's a woodland, we're more likely to lose them until we go around. Okay, so keep up with them. They now started to... I agree, everyone. So I'm also so excited. I'm so happy for you to be part of the show this morning. And what we're seeing here, doing these dogs all spread around here. And we're just going to choose which one we're going to stick with because we can't have all of them together at the same time as they run hunting like this. So let's see what happened here. Olivier, yeah, I saw one there with a little bit of a limp, but not bad. So it's getting, I think, well. But only when they're actually lying down for long and they're able to move, and it's still a little bit limpy, but when they're moving, it's fine again. So now here on our left-hand side, it's very difficult because there's a river in here. And then if they're going to cross to the west, we weren't able to drive through now. So I'm hoping if we've got a few of them here still with us. But yeah, they're going to go there. Unfortunately, they're going to run into this wood. Just going to take another moment here, wait for them. Hopefully they come back to the road. But these one are also listening. If they catch anything inside of that bush, they would probably make a lot of noises. This is how they would know that other member had to kill something. Firebird, so you're asking that wild dogs are cool hunter than the lions. Yes, wild dogs, they are cool hunter than the lions. Where what we've seen here since we got them from that dam, they also run around so much. Where lions, they were just gonna, walk normally. And they actually ambush prey species, the lions, where these guys, they're more likely to approach whatever it is, as long as it's a medium size for them to hunt. And that way, they would chase. With so many of them, it happens sometimes when they chase bigger number of impalas. They come up with maybe different kill, 2 kill, 3 kill, depend. So they're good in that. Oh, we're gonna try to stick with this one, individual one. Hopefully it's gonna take us to the rest. So we just lost the whole packs into the wood. Oh, number 2 came back. So we're gonna, if we have a chance to follow these 2, then it's great because, there's a few of them, 3 already, so it looks like they're all coming back, slowly back to this clearing here. Yeah, all that. Oh, they got something already. What was it? Everyone, I can't explain here right now. It's so cool to watch. But for the sensitive viewers, we're so sorry about this. We can turn the screen away and for now, and then they will be finished what they're doing. There was a kill happened there. Sure, that was so quick. And I can't tell what it was, the species of antelope, but it was an antelope. You say, what is an fabulous fighting? Yeah, it is indeed. Looks like there was these baby impala. It's quite difficult actually to, they can't actually get static here. They can't be very chill animals since they've got to chase one another for a share of meat. But it was a young impala. And I think for one young impala it won't be enough for them for the day. Because they have young one here, these young one, soon they will be expecting meat from these parents for them to regurgitate to eat again. So they're probably gonna do another hunt, unless if they are just tired now. So I'm gonna stay put here, see what these dogs show us next time.
We've managed to come across a Crocodilus niloticus. Sorry, I'm just laughing at the hippos every time. They hear live and they think it's for them. It's rather confusing. But look at this big boy or girl. Crocodiles have internal sex organs, so it makes it very difficult to tell them apart. Unless you're really doing a close inspection. Very camouflage. We almost missed this. And although crocodiles, they have a similar reputation to lions in that they're very lazy. But one, they're reptiles. And two, they're actually predominantly nocturnal. So during the day, it's entirely normal to find them doing a whole lot of nothing. And if you look at their eyes, I don't know how close we can get here, but to accommodate for being nocturnal, they actually have vertical pupils, very, very unusual pupils. And this sort of vertical space can narrow or broaden. And this accommodates improved night vision. Just like all other nocturnal animals, they will have specialized adaptations to help them see in low light conditions. And crocodiles do have a tapetum lucidum as well. That reflective membrane. So if you're actually driving at nighttime and you've got a spotlight, the crocodile's eyes will shine. They do have that layer. They just also have very specialized pupils. I promise it's alive. Probably waiting for the sun to burst out through the clouds and provide some energy. Oh, we got a blink. There was a blink. And look at those claws. They actually have clawed feet to give them traction on land, or else how else would they really be able to pull those heavy bodies across the land? But their hind feet, believe it or not, are also slightly webbed. And that helps them function extremely well in the water environment. So on land, they'll use their claws, and through the water, the hind feet will assist that powerful tail, which really powers them through the water. You need to be able to swim well in order to sort of hunt underwater, hunt fish, and take any opportunity that may come to the water's edge. And Darby and I were just discussing that we really haven't seen any leopards come and drink at this dam. I mentioned that yesterday, but I really haven't. I've seen Tsingana come down here to eat fish. I haven't seen any leopard come and really drink at this dam, and this is why. This is Chitwa Dam, the lodge in the background, because of big crocodiles like this. It leaves them far too vulnerable, far too exposed, and threats come from all angles. Threats could come from behind, but they could also launch out of the water at any moment. Stan the man. Stan the man. I'm not sure. I think it depends on the situation. I mean, a lion is an apex predator in the mammalian world, and here you've got an apex predator in the reptilian world. I guess a lion absolutely could jump on a crocodile if it was out the water, if it gets it from behind, and it's not got much energy. That would be a winning factor for the lion. They are ectothermic after all. So if you catch a crocodile when it's sort of not solar powered up, then it's a little bit weak. It definitely won't have the advantage. But then if you get a crocodile that's already in the water and a lion comes to the water's edge to drink and there's a battle, all the crocodile has to do is use those incredibly powerful jaws. It's got one of the most powerful bites in the animal kingdom, and pull the lion into the water, and then immediately there's no way, well, it's highly unlikely that lion would survive. So it depends on the situation. On land, a lion could definitely do some damage. They're also very robust. I mean, the skin of a crocodile is covered in scales. So a lion would have to be very careful at how it's going to attack a crocodile. I've actually swam with saltwater crocodiles on the Chinchorro banks at the Belizean-Mexico border. And they are very large and you can go swimming with them. But they feed them up on lionfish so that they're full. These crocodiles are full and they're digesting, and because they're reptilian, they can't actually eat anymore. They need to sort of digest what's in their tummy, and therefore you can go swimming with them. You can get to, well, within 1 meter of these huge crocodiles. And one of the females that I was swimming with actually was blind. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But she was beautiful and she was gentle, and of course they're very habituated to having humans in the water. You're given a stick, a wooden stick, and that's about it. I'm not entirely sure what that stick could ever do to assist me in a situation, but that's what we were given. And the lionfish in that sort of area of the world are out of control. They're an invasive species, and the populations are just out of control. They're not supposed to be there ecologically, so they are causing a lot of damage. So there's a lot of sort of programs in place to actually control the lionfish populations because they are so out of control. And they don't know how the lionfish got there. There's some theories that it was a hurricane long ago, but there's also some theories that it was maybe one slightly foolish person that decided to bring a lionfish back to the States or back to Central America and maybe keep it in an aquarium, and somehow it got out into the natural environment. But they're not supposed to be there. Is it the fault of humans? Very possibly so. So they fish them to control the populations, and then they feed the crocodiles. Swimming with a crocodile surely makes you feel small, I'll tell you that. Sir 50, I have no idea. I guess we could make a guess. How long do you think, Darby?
2 meters.
2 meters? I would say maybe just a little bit over 2 meters, actually. 2.5. Okay, Darby's now agreeing with me. It's very difficult to tell. It's a large, fully grown crocodile, absolutely. And of course, we do know Vlad and Boris. Vlad is missing the very, very tip of his tail and said to be the male. So I wonder if this could be Vlad, if we could just look at the tail. I think that very, very tip is missing. But yes, Sir 50, yeah, I think that. Unless the tip is curled round, the crocodile's at a bit of an angle, but it does look like it's missing. I would say 2.5 meters. Davi, do you want to go and measure it?
Sure.
I volunteer you.
Great.
But they do get very large, the Nile crocodiles. Fayaz, to be honest, crocodiles are completely opportunistic. Now, people think of them as these monsters that obviously pull animals into the water, and they do. Just like cheetahs and mammals and impala and all sorts. We've actually got some impala there that are very brave to even think of coming close to this dam. But when it comes to water birds, it's all about opportunity. So if a crocodile can sneak up and they move very, very slowly, only moving that tail to power them through the water, then yes, if they can, they would. But they're primarily fish eaters. That's the bulk of their diet. Crocodiles eat fish. That's what they're hunting all day long, and they will only seize any other opportunity that comes their way. They're slow movers, they're powered by the sun, and once they're full, they're full. So they don't solely rely on ambushing any animals that come down to the water's edge. Yes, they absolutely do that. They're opportunistic, but that's not what they solely rely on. They mainly eat fish. That's the bulk of their diet. The tail is actually sort of laterally flattened, if you like, and this is what helps propel them. It's so powerful. They don't really need to move those little legs. It's the tail that's getting them from point A to B in the water. It also doubly functions as a fat reserve. So that tail will sort of store all sorts of essential fats in those times of drought, in those harsh times, in times of fasting. That will provide the crocodile internally with all the energy that it needs. But reptiles don't have to eat as much as mammals. An endotherm versus an ectotherm has a sort of really different requirement for the metabolism. And reptiles generally don't have to eat as often as mammals do. Mammals need to eat very regularly in order to fuel their metabolism. And even the eggs in reptiles, the eggs are not a sort of sex. Okay, I'll come back to that. For now, we're going to send you back across to Andrew and his wild dogs.
Right, so we still here with these dogs now, all settled down. I think it's because they have a little bit of a breakfast. No, maybe not. This one's up. This one with a collar. Hearing it's incredible, so all of a sudden stood up, walked that way. Probably heard something there. So those are the only one that are actually nice visual for now. And the other one is just on tall grasses. But yeah, they start also moving around a little bit. So actually what it was success, checking for dogs. Hardly not to find them sometime because they move so much, but once you got them, especially when it's static, it's always so important to stick with them and see how they hunt, how they run. Look at this one. 3 of them are up, but they're more likely all of them go down on the ground. So Errol asking if the dogs hunt after they're eaten. So depend of what they have eaten or if they're full enough. If then they're full enough, then we're just going to take it easy, find shade, rest. But then if they didn't have enough, like it was a young antelope here, I would assume this one of a Solego is actually young impala. Those are born November, December. So they might actually want to hunt again. Some are full, some are not. So it's the only thing that would push the rest of them to get to move if they have to. Looks like one is still had a little bit of a bone crunching back there, but we can't see it because it's probably one of these young ones.
Andrew.
I gotta take this. Yeah, stand by, sip. Yeah, we're in a quarantine, so myself here, you can rejoin. Yeah, affirmative. We're on quarantine. We're in the end of quarantine, but then a clearing. Sure. Everyone, I agree. The painting of these animals, colors amazing. A little white. Some are like browny and blackish, kind of mixed. And they have beautiful ears as well. Look at these massive ears. So Joyce is saying life's in the dogs. Indeed, you don't go wrong with the dogs, and they're so beautiful. And the good about them is that when they wanted to hunt, they push so much, they have to push a lot of effort to what they have to get. If they're lost, whatever they chase, and they always another chance, so they don't give up. You know, they're good at that. So now we're not far from where Syria at midnight. So you're asking what the larger animal that can bring it down. So wild dog, they can pegs like these. You know, it's a lot of a young one, but they'll get to the time where they will be full grown. So there will be some big number we will see here. So 10 of them can able to take kudu down, possibly take a wildebeest down, and then nyala. They can take actually a zebra foal as well, so they can hunt very good in a group. So that's actually the biggest antelope they can get. Waterbuck also. But yeah, I rarely seen them hunting on a buffalo and a giraffe. Unless if it's maybe a young giraffe though. So it's cool that they came back to the last position where they spent 2 days. We actually slightly eastern side of that. And then it was no sign of lion this morning. So they won't be disturbed. Where other big cats disturb them so much. Lions. In the places where they have a lot of a pride of lions. So Christy, you say you love about these ears being like tishy. Satellite, and then yes, they are kind of like round ears they got compared to most other carnivore species. Well, this one still had a bone. He's trying to fight with the bone. It has to crunch that, so one swallow things like that. get choked. And here it's a chance of see far for them if it's any dangerous approach, because it's quite a lot of open. But at the same time, for their own hunting skills, where there's a chance that antelope ran around here. Those antelope, they're actually quite quick forgetting on what happened for the next 2-3 hours. So Lian, you're asking if they suffocate to kill their prey, like bigger cats? In the packs, no, they don't have to do that. So all animals die of being tear apart, chunk of meat and all of that. So they don't suffocate. Then it applies the same situation with the hyenas also when they're cornered prey species, and they're just gonna go wherever they can, but they're a very strong bite. Same to these guys. So impala would die of probably just whole stomachs out, and organs are all just gonna be ripped apart. Die sadly sometimes, but that's how they are. So difference too with the lions. Lions hunt in pride. But if you find one lion is just one male lion, he would be holding up the airway of a prey species with the buffalo, because it takes too long to die. And the rest of them already start to eat. By that time the animal die, he's still hungry, so you will feed at last. So I'm gonna stay put here. It's only me for now. And then it's gonna be another station joining here soon. I'm gonna be sending you across to Lauren.
Team Wendy have crossed into Torchwood. And we just want to see if we can pick up any signs of Tandy and her little one. They've been spending a lot of time on Chitwa, but the tracks cross back into Torchwood. So although Torchwood I find particularly dense out of all the properties, we're just going to scratch around his usual haunts and see if we can pick up any signs of them. It would be really nice to spend some time with both of them. Now, as far as I know, it's been quite a while since the two of them have been on Juma. Tandy's definitely shifted. But maybe we'll get a nice sighting with them on First Rock. Wouldn't that be so lovely? First Rock is one of the most beautiful places in the area. And it's elevated, it's nice and high, so you get a good view of everything. Davy, can you just have a look down there? No, just, yeah, is it? I think it's hyena. The bonnet's too large for me to see over the other side. Yes, you are correct. It is hyena. FC, can I just check you're still there? Just a little worried about signal. Sometimes it's tricky in Torchwood. Leslie, I'm not sure why you think I would ever want to swim with the hippo, but the answer to that is negative. I have not swum with the hippo. Incredibly dangerous animals, and I don't think I know anyone that would actually intentionally get into the water with the hippo. I guess crocodiles are too. I guess crocodiles are dangerous animals as well, but no, I've never swam with the hippo. I don't intend to. They do have a habituated hippo. I can't remember what they call her. Susie or something. Outside of Hoodspite, but I don't believe anyone gets in the water. I have swam with tiger sharks. That was one of my bucket list species, and I ticked it off when I was in Fiji. They have an incredible program there in a place called Benga. And what happened was Fiji was really severe in their shark fishing industry. It was all very much illegal, but the fishermen there were struggling so much that they were killing the sharks, chopping off their fin, letting the sharks sink to the bottom and drown, and the fin was obviously sent to Asia for the shark fin soup industry. And sorry, I've got a fly in my eye. That always happens. So there was sort of a turnaround, a conservation body who said, okay, how can we get these fishermen to stop fishing the sharks? It's killing, it's wiping out all the shark populations. What are we going to do? So what they decided was to make it a sort of ecotourism thing, where the sharks are fed. Now, I know some people will agree or disagree with that, but this is how the program works. They take a big wheelie bin down, a big black wheelie bin. Do you call them wheelie bins here? Yes, wheelie bins. And it's filled with blood and guts and fish. And then underwater, they'll open the wheelie bin, and as soon as they sort of sense in the air, all these fish come, from huge red snappers to bull sharks to reef sharks and tiger sharks. And they form like a tornado, and it's crazy. You just sit there, you've got no protection underwater, and you just watch. And then all of a sudden, this tornado, this feeding frenzy just disappears, and everything goes quiet. And you only have your mask on. So your visual field is very limited. You don't have that sort of periphery that you have when you're not wearing a mask, and you just look up and she descends into the water column, this huge female tiger shark. Wow. She swims by you, she looks at every single one of you, she's got very small black eyes, and she makes sure that you know she is there. I mean, how could you not? Every other fish disappears, every other shark disappears, and she feasts on all the fish, and then she goes again. And basically the essence of the story is that it's quite an expensive dive to do, and a really large percentage of the price that you pay goes into the fishermen's community, and their role now is to be security guards, to look after the sharks, to make sure there's no illegal shark fishing going on, report their sightings. So they're now conservationists, if you like, and they're funded and paid from the dive that you pay to sort of go swim with the sharks. So it's a tricky situation when it comes to tourism like that, but it's very, very successful. It's called Benga. It's in the heart of Fiji, and it's a really successful program in helping the local community, education, and saving the shark populations. And from what I can gather, the shark populations are very much on the rise. So yes, tiger shark, yes, crocodile, yes, but in answer to your question, hippo, no. And I think I'm going to omit that one from my bucket list. Donnie Tandy's not nomadic. She still very much displays territorial behaviour. She still saws, she still scent marks, she still patrols. So gauging from her behaviour, she's definitely still territorial. But I feel she's pushed east and south. She used to sort of always be seen in Juma, using the southeastern corner of Juma, but she seems to have just pushed a little bit further east than that. She's been seen in Chitwa a lot, Little Gowrie a lot, and Torchwood. But shifts are normal. It can be due to climatic changes, environmental changes, pressure, competition. This is Torchwood Dam with a lot of impala. We never used to be able to show you Torchwood Dam. This was always a sort of black spot. I'm not entirely sure how we're getting signal now, but we are. And just up behind Torchwood Dam is First Rock. And this is where we were finding Tandy's cub almost on a daily basis. So that's what I'm hoping to search for now. I'm going to go up there and just look for any signs of the pair of them. But yeah, Tandy's definitely shifted east. Kalamba, from what I can gather, seems to be spending a lot more time on Juma and pushing further down south than Bufelsuk. Whereas if you compare that to quite a few months ago, she was spending a lot of her time on Bufelsuk. So she also appears to have shifted. Shall we head to First Rock? Fingers crossed. And this is where we had blue-eyed lioness. I don't know if I shared that information with you yesterday, but the blue-eyed Talamati lioness is back with the pride. I wanted to go there yesterday, but sadly our Bufelsuk mast is not working, but she's reunited with the pride, which is good news. Why she separated, I'm not sure, but they have reunited. Okay, so I'm going to head up to First Rock to see if we can spot any signs of Tandy, but for now, back to Andrew.
Good luck, Laura, in finding Tandy out there. And we're still stationary here with the wild dogs. And they haven't actually moved. I don't know. They're not actually doing much at the moment. There's one that is still, trying to fight the bone, but cannot actually crunch it. There was one carrying also a little bit of this bone, probably skull, and running around with it. When I want to, sometimes I can cover huge distance per day. But that is something to do when they don't get what they need. In the winter where the grass is all just flat, they can see far, but species as well, like prey species, they can spot, dangerous for miles away. And they plan their route to get out of the way immediately. So that's the only time these guys have to move far distances, because they never have a chance to get close to the prey species. It's way too open. Casey, so you're asking what a strangest behavior wild dog that I ever come across. No, not that I can recall. Since I actually knew the wild dogs, all I know for sure, they are very cool animals. And then it's all about hunting things. So I think it was a few days ago I explained a little bit of how actually I witnessed these, when they have to wait for that. This was hunting methods where was impalas jump into the camp where they can't get in, these dogs. And they spend almost 4 hours waiting for that impala to get out of that camp, because then it was also a movement of people in the camp. So they eventually impala jump off the fence, get out of the camp, and it's only time the dogs were really onto that female impala, and they killed it right in front of us. So that was one of those things that I can always remember about them, which actually was unusual. I know they can wait for such a long time when a cornered prey inside the water. For it to come out, they have to wait for long. Not around where human habitations, where there's a lot of movement. So that was one of the coolest behavior of these dogs had done. And this killing of other animals to eat, it's all about them as a dog or cat species. And they are actually meat eaters in no way. They don't eat anything, they won't eat mushroom, they're not vegetarian. So they hunt to kill, and they would have to feed on what they kill. That one still have that bone, having actually crunched it off, all of it. If they don't move away from here, then they're probably going to stick around here for at least the whole day today. But it's quite open. There's a chance that impala may disturb them. And that way they're able to hunt again. So you're asking if the dogs have a rival pack. I'm not sure of that question. So maybe I don't understand it. But you know, their features, it's the way that. Oh yeah, now I get it then. So you're asking if they do fight with another pegs, different pegs? Yeah, they would. When they meet along the border, there's probably I've seen that happen. They don't actually accept one another, two different groups. But it's never fatal. Sometimes is that somebody or other group have to shift away from the area. But more likely that have massive home range, that range possible that it overlap so much of the dogs that their territory would overlap with another pegs. So every time they meet up on the border line or somebody's inside of somebody's property, so aggression, you can see these are now different dogs, and they'll, of course, would start chasing one another, once again, it will be all separation there take place. Each one take its own, lead its own group away. So we're going to stay put here. It's getting slightly warm, but I believe they might settle down. Then we'll see what they're going to be doing in the next time.
The new year has arrived, and with it comes all kinds of other new beginnings. From hyena cubs to meerkat pups, the bush is full of new life. If you want to find out more, then sign up to be an explorer and join our New Beginnings Fireside Chat. Tristan and Steve will be looking at what's new here in the wilderness as we enter 2021. Join them on the 17th of January, straight after the Sunset Safari. For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique Wild Earth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient Kortai's Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's red sand dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with Wild Earth and of course meet the meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motse Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all Wild Earth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply. If you love to watch Wild Earth, then we are inviting you to join our Explorers program. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic Wild Earth expeditions, join our guides for a chat around the fire, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn allows us to escape into nature every single day.
So the dogs are still lying down, and they're all just peacefully flat right now. But the whole trust is just open here, so they all okay, and there's so many in numbers that if it's ever something approach, one of them would spot it if it's dangerous. So places where there is no much less medium species of, such as an impala, and they would probably just go for, if it's a bigger number, they would go for usually a wildebeest, those type of waterbuck, kudus. And it's easy for them to bring that such a big prey like that down because they bite. They're doing it by biting all different positions. And that bite is all about maybe trying to bring it down that way. But once it's down, they all just feed before the animal die. So out here now, it's so many of other small things they can hunt. Steenbok, grey duiker, the scrub hare, nothing much in it. Not enough for the pegs. But yeah, they will still kill scrub hare. More likely not to share because it's so small. So Mary asking if the hyena eat bone. So they don't go for the older bone like hyena do. The hyena will visit like a month ago or a year ago bone, just after the rain because it's soft. Or these, when they eat bone, they chew sometimes with the meat when they're feeding, when they kill. And they can still chew the bone that is actually fresh. They prefer fresh thing, the wild dogs. They prefer fresh meat, soft bones, and those bones can be very much chewable for them. And those will be taken along with the meat, skin, fur of the animal. Hyena doesn't, the wild dog, they don't store or kill for such long, like leopard, lion. If it's a big prey species like kudu, they would feed and eventually move off and lay down far distances. If it happens for them to return back to that, and they will do. Oh, something frightened them. But I'm not sure, maybe it's a bird. Sure, that's all about the fight, probably for that little bone the one they had. There's nothing much in it. So this is a sign that they're still a little hungry though. So I'm not sure, maybe last night they done another kill somewhere else, or then it's going to be so small. Because if it's a big an impala, then it wouldn't be this far again from where they were moving into yesterday when we lost them. Jerry, so you want to know what would happen if you encountered with wild dogs on foot, probably in the wild. So they would probably just going to move away. I actually walked into them a few times and I was not actually tracking them, but it happens. They were in a way where was a leopard tracks moving to, so it's just hoping to find a leopard, but it was all packs there. Can't recall which packs was it. So when they see a stranger, they bark like a dog, slightly, but that's not actually very too much sound. And while they do that by jumping high up and down, so this is when they're trying to get away, but it was a warning for everybody to be aware of me coming into the area. So they more likely to move away. If you ever get attacked, we understand they're wild animal. Maybe they can do it, but not often. Rachel, so asking the survival rate of pups. That's actually they don't survive very well, depending on the area of their operational. If it's so much of other, especially with the hyenas, they will trouble dogs. But just from before they emerge out of the den, it's so much chances sometimes some of them will die because of, the diseases that take place, and maybe the parents have a sickness that's taking place on them. So a lot of time you see when they feed this couple, especially when they're already eating meat, this is where the problem started from. Because the parents now, they have to bring chunk of meat from their tummy back to the young one by throwing out. So if they ever had a problem with this disease in them, more affected to the puppy still too young. And then the whole number may go down immediately from that result. But from the enemies and the point of view, which is going to be hyenas, would always visit the den and always push them hard. And kill them. So it's actually sometimes zero chance of the puppy survive if it's so much of a competition between another carnivorous species. So it's a way of life, understanding that when they get followed by hyenas, hyenas are always hoping to get anything from the dog. So dogs actually aren't successful. The hyena are all scavengers. And they're always behind somebody where is a cat. And that's what happened, that where you found if these, now the dogs still raising their youngest and the hyena behind them, and then during the hunt, is that they would probably just gonna leave the puppies behind for temporarily, because all of them now are focusing on killing. So hyena, they're more likely to approach the puppies and kill them. But so doctor, so you're asking what is the feeding order on your dogs, who eats first? Oh, impala approaching from that distance. Sorry, I'm gonna get to your question. Is impala running? Oh, now they're gonna run after that. Look at this now. Ooh. So doctor, so your question is that your answer. So here there's no feeding order. So everybody would get to the meat and feed as much as they can at the same time. Only when the meat getting slightly finished, if there was something so small, then there will be so much of argument. Whoever have bones will be chased behind by the rest. So there is no feeding order there, everybody involved. So everyone, this is probably, they get attracted now by, as you saw, there is now Impala came from the wood back to the quarantine here. So again, we're going to try stick with them because we're not sure how far they're going to go. Maybe they're going to be behind Impala for such a long time. Let me turn around here. So they're still interested in hunting. Maybe this is the Impala that was in the area. Now they're trying to return, thinking maybe it's safe. We talk about that. They don't actually take long for them to forget what happened for the last hours. This is Impala now. Now they're returning back here. But I understand the mother of that young one that just get eaten, yeah. She's still wondering where's the baby gone to. So I'm gonna follow them, see how far they take us. In the meantime, I will be sending you across to Lauren.
No luck in Torchwood, I'm afraid, so we've come to Buffelshoek Dam. And I was going to say it's all very quiet here, but actually it's not quiet. The weavers are just getting ready to start their day. It's a bit of a slow morning. And you can see the hippos just hiding under this fallen tree. I remember the day this tree fell over, and it was a little bit sad to see it fallen over, but what's happened here is that it's created a complete... Davi, is that a pied kingfisher? Hold on. Yes, it is. Fabulous, one of my favourites. A pied kingfisher at Buffelshoek Dam. One of the kingfishers that actually does eat fish. They don't all eat fish. Some of them never eat fish. So it's a little bit misleading, the name kingfishers. But the pied is one. And this, to me, looks like the female. You can see the dicky bow tie. That sort of black markings is very sweet. But there's no band underneath that. There's only sort of the dicky bow tie. So that means this pied kingfisher is female. They're said to be one of 3 of the most numerous kingfishers in the entire world, believe it or not. But we don't see them all the time here. I still get excited when I see a pied kingfisher. You really can't mistake the pied for any other kingfisher. I mean, we get the striped kingfisher here. Not often, but we do. We get the brown-hooded, the giant, the malachite, the grey-headed. I've seen a grey-headed once. The woodlands, obviously, and the pygmy. They're the most common ones we get here. And really, you cannot mistake the pied for anything else. That black and white coloration. That unique way of flying. Lisa, you're saying, wow, what a beauty. Yes. There's something about black and white contrasting colours, although they're not really colours out here in the bush. Because it's not often. I mean, yes, we have zebras, but there's something really beautiful about it. I love kingfishers. Kingfishers and bee eaters.
Got an eagle too. I've got an eagle.
Yeah, I saw that too. I'm going to need to get my binoculars out. Well done, Davy. A fish eagle at Buffelshoek Dam. Well, I never. It's also not very common that we see a fish eagle at Buffelshoek Dam. It's not quite black and white, but it's still got that sort of contrast between light and dark. Another stunning bird. It's very common to see them at Chitwa. In fact, if you go to Chitwa and they're not there, it's slightly worrying. But not so common at Buffelshoek Dam. And sometimes you should just sit at a dam just for a few minutes. And you'll start to notice one by one all the different bird species that really are around. And that's the weavers you can hear. So if we just go back to this fallen over tree, it's became a habitat for so many other species. You can see even the hippos were utilizing it. They were hiding under it, resting within the tree, sort of touching the water. It's more accessible now to lots of ground animals where it wasn't before. It's dead, I'm afraid, so it's not providing any fruit or delicious foliage, but it's now being utilized by so many other organisms that couldn't utilize it before. So although it was sad to see this tree fall over, it's sort of upcycled itself, if you like. You get recycling and you get upcycling. And recycling is, of course, to reuse the item. But upcycling is when you reuse the item, but you turn it into something completely different. Its function completely changes. And that's what's happened to this tree. It's still being utilized in the ecosystem. And the weavers are still using it, even although it's no longer standing upright. It still functions as a place to hang your nest if you're a weaver. I think we've got the village weavers here. It's actually tricky to see from here. They do look similar. I can hear so many bird calls. I can hear the Diederik's cuckoo. Dee, 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 dee. Can't see it though. I also could hear blackback puffback. Can't see it though. I can hear so many different bird calls. Just can't see them. Now the village weavers tend to look a little bit, I don't know if the right word is dirtier, but due to the markings of the sort of coloration of their plumage, they always look a little bit messier and a little bit dirtier than do the southern masked and the lesser masked. That's sort of how you can identify them. You see, this is a village and they've got quite a messy markings, if you like, that go up to the neck. They've also got a red eye. It's easy to get mixed up between the village and the southern masked. So just an update. We are experiencing technical difficulties with the other locations today. We're working on it. But for the moment, you have Team Djuma. But I am going to try and make my way west now. It's a bit of a journey. But I would really like to see if Cara has returned to that jackal kill. That was my story yesterday. And sadly, she never went back to that kill. She just abandoned it. I'm not sure why, but possibly she just wanted to go on a little exploration. She's young and she may return to it. It's hoisted after all. And therefore she knows the hyenas are not going to be able to steal it. So I would quite like to get back west and follow up on that story. Cara's a beautiful, beautiful leopardess. Not territorial yet. Sometimes a little bit, not skittish, but a little bit nervous. Still young. Clearly not scared of Mum, though. She had a fight with Mum the other day. Mum was fine, but there was blood, there was scratches, there was wounds. Oh, okay, so I'm going to slowly start to bumble west, and for now, it seems Andrew's caught up with his wild dogs.
Good luck, Lauren, there. So now we got these dogs again. Now they're not in the open area anymore. They have moved into the bush. So they given up chase. They decided to move into the thicket over here. So it's a riverine there where it's wet section. So we're gonna see if they would ever come out, but you see every now and then it's a little bit of a movement. So they're not in the open anymore. Well, they've been doing this for the last couple of days, where they chosen one of the places where it was a lot of shade for them to be. Maybe this is one of them. One of the places where they want to spend a lot of time in. Great, so you're asking how many litter can single female produce or give birth to? It's been seen 15, so 7 up to 15, 16 puppies. A single mother. So yeah, they give birth to so many of the babies. Just like dogs. So when they're denning, it's got to be one of the mound that they chose to be, and that they were able to occupy that mound in a given time. And then able to move in and out, so the parents will move, hunt, and there's a guard where they would be actually always making sure that there's nothing will go wrong back there. It's always somebody has to look after the den while the other members on hunt. Oh, there's one looking at us. So here where we are now, we're looking at them, but they're way down. To these drainage line systems. But but it's still not far away from quarantine, so there's a chance they may come back to the open area if they heard anything that is going on around in the open here. They always pop back here again. And it's probably water there inside. That's what's probably driven them to go down. So we're gonna stay put. Hopefully they show up or come back to the clearing here.
Making our way west thing. Those sort of grey overcast clouds. Well, most of them have disappeared. Finally got blue sky. So we're going along the cut line, the highway of the north, to try and get west. Believe it or not, to get from one proper to the other, we're so lucky we can traverse 5 cities now. But it's not easy to get from one another. It's a sort of large area to cover in a short space of time. But I really do want to follow up on Kara. For those of you who don't know who Kara is, she is the daughter of Muri and Shadulu, two of our quite dominant leopards in the area. And she is the offspring, the only surviving offspring from the litter. She's just a little bit over 2 years old. So she's still finding her feet, or finding her paws, should I say. I'm not sure the correct terminology there. She's not territorial. But she has been handed a section of her mother's territory. So she's got a little bit of land. Territorial. She's not yet marking. She's not sort of got that behavior yet. That will come in time. And it all sort of balances out with hormonal changes. And once she becomes territorial, she will most likely then go into full estrus and start mating. It's all connected. That heat from the sun is just delicious. I love it. Okay, we're going to continue our bumble west and hopefully we'll be able to find little Miss Kara.
Cool, so we totally now don't have a visual of these dogs. But they're here in this thicket for sure. There's actually crested francolin that is up in trees now, calling out on the other side. I'm gonna drive around just to see if there is a... We found out maybe they're trying to come out from the other side while we're here. Quite wet there, so until they come out, I'm just gonna make sure there's they don't move out in a different position there. That probably didn't come out this way. Yeah, they're still in there. Thick. So I'll be then checking the other side there, see what this impala's about, and then we'll always come back here to check if they come out to this clearing again. Now it's getting actually warm for them. If they don't come out, then they're going to stick around in their shed. It's a wet area, it's cool off there. They will probably love it so much being in that area. So Martin, you're asking how do they stronger they are defending their kill. So they can defend their kill very well from hyenas since they work as a team. So hyena push so much to them because hyena they also give their life so much to other cats. But you know they're more likely not to compete too much with the lions. If it's a lion, they have to give it away, move away from that kill. But they can stand a chance to fight leopard and the hyenas in the packs. So yeah, they quite often defend their kill. But defending their kill, so dogs, they don't actually storage a lot of food for such a long time. So they kill and they feed and they finish it. So now we're stopping here looking at this young impala running around on its own. It's probably from one of the group of impala that they've been disturbed here from the beginning of the hunt for this dog. That couldn't be so much of vulnerable being alone, not a single parent. So it's not actually very far from there, but then it's way down where they are. So it's a chance this young one will also survive, unless if maybe ran back to the direction of the dogs. And of course, they're going to take it down. But it's actually very much concerned. I would be worried if I was one of the young ones, being alone without a mother around you. But the dogs, how they hunt. So running into prey species, they don't have a chance to check whether that species they're running it and onto is any chance could be maybe now lions or others carnivore hunting the same animal. So that's why sometimes they tend to run into so many of a trouble to big cats and things like that. Okay, hope you survive, young one. So let's, I'm gonna check the dam quickly, and then I'll come back this way. See if there is any. So Hamilton, you're asking where the rest of the herd of impala's gone. When we got to this clearing here, or that chase that took place not long ago, was only a few of the impala. Was also looks like the two of them and the rest of the other young one. So they could be away from here, because then the bigger one actually have a much experience of escape away from the danger immediately. With the young one, once they get lost, they're kind of like not knowing where to go. So they could be far away for now, or they could be around at Gary Dam where we're going into now, check. So that's quite often happened for the impala to separate it during a survival where somebody has to run for their lives. But later on, they will probably rejoin if it's a chance. I'm going to check the top of the quarantine site here first. There's looks like there's a few of impalas here. But this is actually at the very top of quarantine, where that young one doesn't have a visual of these ones. So one of their single mom over here. And the male and the young male, I think, on the far side. So maybe they haven't know that is a problem, because it's actually, quarantine is bigger. So now we're on the northern end of quarantine where these all chase happened on the western, southern end of quarantine. And there was no such a alarm call for this impala. They were just running away. They didn't let the other friends know this is a danger in this area. And that female, she's actually taking it easy, chewing a card. That chewing card is actually one of the ruminating system antelope do. Show everyone, indeed you're right. It's incredible, beautiful out here in Djuma. And looking at actually the rising where it's all cloudy, but it's settling out now. It's all going to be clear, open sky. All of these going to burn off. When we start, I thought it's going to drizzle. It's getting warmer now. So this is where the few impalas are. Yeah, you're right, look at them, they all just don't even realize there's dogs on the far side. If it happens, a dog runs to this direction here, it's going to be disaster, because then one of them is going to be a target.
Hello, good morning.
Stand by. Yeah, I was in Madaj, the west of Bushbrae side, but they're in a drainage line system. For now, no visual. I'm standing by quarantine. Hopefully they come out. There's a few miles also. So she's chewing cud. Process of chewing cud, it's also important for most of antelopes. Those ruminate. where there's a few pockets, 4 pockets of a stomach inside that animal. But the rumen chamber, that's where a card goes into, get processes. Jim, sorry, yeah. So we got a radio comm where we communicate between guides, giving each other's update, and most other game viewing guides that are out there now. Was somebody who was looking for the update. I think they starting to get drive now out of their camp. So first things, we look for the update. Whoever's been out there first time, you probably had an update for somebody. So this is probably what is happening now. And it's so important to have comms for game drive operational, because this is how we share same sighting, get to know what the other find. So yeah, Jim, that's what was happening. Oh, it's actually very chill, that female. She's in a shed, not even realize that can be any danger approach anytime. They have so many challenges as impala because they're medium size. Not only dogs will hunt them, any of the other predators. Leopard, lions, cheetahs. Well, we haven't actually seen cheetah in a while here. So impala always stay alert, always check. Like what she's doing right now. Or whether she heard anything, but now she's looking exactly where we just left the dog, in that direction. It's true. So you're asking if we have a cheetah in Djuma. We do, but they come in and out quite a lot. So that's why we don't see them. And those are one of the animals that they don't really tolerate other cats as well. Wherever so many, I would say here, so many of the movement of the lions. So cheetah won't be sticking around for so much long. Even these dogs, we're so lucky having them, because then with there being so much of lion, and they won't love it. So I'm going to return back to that last position of a dog before the dam, because we've been PI. So that antelope, the horn, yeah, you're right. Look at them. Very long enough. And that's actually full-grown impala that we're looking at. But looks like it's the only male at the moment here, with the female and the young male in the back. So maybe it's not actually his high rim where it happened. If it's his, then he would maybe wander around for so many of the other females that they've been scattered all over. Because it's a system on impala where male will dominate 70, 50 of them females at the same time. check out there. Just before I go down to the dam, because we spend the time here with impala. Let's see if these dogs are doing anything. Maybe there's a chance they come out for us. So being a medium size for most carnivore species, it's always for you to be careful because they have a lot of enemy looking at you as a meat. So impala, they're one of those medium source of food around here for most carnivore species. So even though impala, they stick in groups, they still get killed. They still get surprised by these dogs, lions, sometimes. So I'm gonna head back to that last position of a dog, see if they maybe came out slightly to the open.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
The new year has arrived, and with it comes all kinds of other new beginnings. From hyena cubs to meerkat pups, the bush is full of new life. If you want to find out more, then sign up to be an explorer and join our New Beginnings Fireside Chat. Tristan and Steve will be looking at what's new here in the wilderness as we enter 2021. Join them on the 17th of January, straight after the Sunset Safari.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
We're back on the open area on Simbambili. Just want to check this kill. I think I can see the tree from where I am and there's no leopard on it. But I would quite like to see what the situation is over there. So we're just going to turn around. I think for some reason Cara just completely abandoned it. I guess maybe she didn't want it after all. Oh dear, sand is very thick. It's a young, sort of inexperienced leopard's curiosity to just pounce and hone in on those skills and kill. But maybe she really didn't want it after all. That poor hyena that lay in wait yesterday is definitely going to be waiting some time. Yes, I guess so. we do find kills that have been abandoned quite regularly. It's the same scenario, I'm afraid. Oh dear. I don't quite know why they would abandon kills. I don't quite have an explanation for it, but yes, we do find kills that have been hoisted and then left. So this is a little jackal pup, side-striped jackal pup. Rather sad. No leopard and no hyena. So the hyena from yesterday must have realised, this is not the best idea. She just left it, just like that. That's sad. We won't stay here too long. It was worth checking. I don't quite know where Cara is. We had her yesterday and she was very, very close to Triple M, which is our western boundary. I don't think she will come back for it. So yes, we have found kills that have been abandoned. Maybe they were not hungry in the first place. It's just their instinct to kill, go for it. But Cara is normally around this area. I do think it's worth checking out. Adrian, mostly leopards. A leopard would kill another leopard's... would steal another leopard's kill, sorry. Lions have also been known to climb up trees to get to kills. They're not so elegant or graceful at it, but lions have also been known to do that. But really, I mean, the biggest threat to a leopard who's hoisted their kill is another leopard. It's not easy to sort of pull your own body weight up vertically. They use their sharp claws and obviously their very, very powerful shoulder blades that are extremely large and sort of proportioned to their body size, and they've got lots of additional muscle attachment sites. Lots and lots of muscles that make them extremely powerful from the shoulders, and that's how they're able to hoist their bodies up. I saw some zebra somewhere. Can you remember where we saw them, Darby? Just here. Somehow I've completely lost a zebra. Stand the man, Cara's 2. She's 2 years old. There we go. She's still a youngster. Can you get them from here, Davy? So she's still young. As I mentioned, she's not territorial. And she's still sort of getting a feel for her land. Enjoying hunting. We saw her up the tree with her mother the other day, and she appeared to steal her mother's kill. And they had a physical sort of encounter. But she's still very young, and when you see her, she's very small and petite. Very similar in size and age, of course, to Nzutini, who we had the other day, Tiani's daughter. I'm convinced this is the same zebra we always see on Simbambile Open. They prefer short grass, similar to wildebeest, so they sort of make their way through the open clearing, looking for shorter grass. It's also the perfect place to be able to see predators coming, to be able to utilize all the other antelope around. Once the impala start calling, you know there's trouble ahead. Chad, the best method is to look for genitals. That's really sort of the best way, but if you don't have a good view and you don't have, well, you can't see from the angle that you're at, then there's another key method, and I'm actually just going to quickly open my book so visually I can show you rather than explain it. If you just give me a moment. It's easier to see when you look at an image. There we go. So if we just look over here, Davi, you'll see that it can be difficult if you really cannot see that genitalia. So first look for that. If you can't see that, then the males, which is this one here, if you look at the rear end, it's a little bit graphic, they have a very, very narrow stripe that runs down, sort of in between their legs and underneath the tail. It's almost so narrow that you don't really see it, whereas if you look down below and look at the females, they have a much broader stripe. It's almost like a thick black wedge. Now, it's just a stripe, it's just coloration, but that's the easiest way to tell the difference between male and female zebra, and that in itself is also not easy. It's not easy when you see zebra to actually identify them. If you really can't see the genitalia, then you have to look at their rear end and look for that stripe. It's either going to be a really thin stripe or a really thick one. I can't find where they've gone now. I think we can go along this road. Cara, where did you go? It just amazes me that both her and Nzutini had a jackal kill on the same night, and apparently it happened about 80 meters apart. They must have encountered a den, or at least a sort of family of jackals moving together. Dave. To be honest, I think to most of the predators out here, that jackal would probably be edible for a very long time. Most of the predators are known to eat very putrid carcasses, rotten flesh, especially hyenas. So I think the carcass will be edible if you're a leopard, or if you're a hyena or any other scavenger, vulture, even a jackal itself, for quite some time. I mean, hyenas have been known to lap up tortoises that have completely liquefied, and it's more just a green, gooey, smelly gunk. Hyenas will still eat that. Doesn't sound too delicious, but they will. Okay, I'm just going to do one more loop around this open area, just in case we spot any signs of Cara, any tracks, any movement. And then we will head back into Juma and see what we can find across there. I was hoping to see Tiani this time round. Tiani is Tungana's daughter, and she's Nzutini's mother, yes. But she's been found on Arathusa, and unfortunately we cannot reverse Arathusa, which is rather unfortunate. She doesn't really come close enough into... But you never know, maybe one day. Okay, this is a lovely little area called Pommy's Pan. We were here the other day. Jonathan, I'm not sure enzymes would be the correct biological reason that predators wouldn't get sick. They do have unique digestive system. They will have their own enzymes there, and they've got an extremely potent stomach acid. So it's extremely low on the pH scale. For hyenas, I think it's pH 1, which is very, very acidic. So how it works is as soon as any sort of food item enters into the stomach, the very start of the stomach, the hydrochloric acid will almost blast away any sort of bacteria, pathogens, any nasty things that comes into the stomach before the food will then break down as part of the digestive process and then enter into the intestines. It's the intestines where sort of anything's going to get absorbed into the bloodstream, and that's what you don't want to happen. And it's one of the reasons that the hyena immune system and digestive process is very fascinating to science. They don't seem to succumb to anthrax and canine distemper or even rabies like their competitors do. They seem to just avoid and survive these diseases, which is incredible. We see hyenas with broken bones, injuries from lion attacks, open wounds, and they're so resilient most of the time. They just happen to survive, and it's due to that really, really acidic sort of acid, the hydrochloric acid in their stomach, and their immune system. It's remarkable with hyenas. And sort of your other predators will also be very similar. To blast away any nasty things that they're eating and just to digest the food. Very quiet today. I had lots of promise for this morning, but I will not give up just yet. Okay, while I do my last search of Simbambili's open area, we are going to send you back across to Andrew, who's found a reptile.
Good luck, Lauren, with your search. We came to Gari Dam, and here we got a water lizard, a water monitor lizard, or lake one, basking in dry wood. And they can climb any trees out here. But they rely on water. They always find near a water hole or inside the water. And they will hunt in the water, edge of the water. They can come out of the water sometimes. That's where there's a chance they can eat or birds' eggs. We can take that silence for a moment, listening to now 4-minute frogs that making noises, which is unusual. You only hear them at night. Whoa, looks like it's a skink lizard. Tiny little thing, striped skink lizard. That would be hunted by that water monitor lizard as well. It's probably why it's looking in that direction. So they can also eat. Jerome, so you're asking if these specific water monitor lizard will ever change color? No, they're always this color. And they're a lot different compared to a rock or land one. A rock monitor lizard, where those one, all you see there is a kind of like a lot of visible of a huge band stripe, but grayish and a dark kind of gray in it. So with this one, all you see is a little dot and like a little pattern dot. But also they breed by laying eggs. And they gotta get out of the water hole for that. Look for a mound. Excavate the mound, make a little huge pit hole, and they deposit eggs. Sometimes can be 50 eggs up to 60, depend. And these eggs now, they will incubate it by the temperature. Of the weather. But it takes a year for those eggs to complete incubation. Leon, so you're asking which animals would eat a monitor lizard? They're vulnerable to leopards. If lion can able to catch them as well. But there's eagles. Marshall eagle will specialize with such a lizard like this because they're also strong. They can defend themselves. They can bite. Can whip using his tail. So the tail is a weapon. You can see the external ears as well. Very sharpening claw, that's what allows them to go wherever it's possible, trees. Can climb. And they're one of the animals that are harder for them to trust. When they spot a danger, they're more likely to freeze, even though they know that animals, that predator already spot them. That's why sometimes the eagles get a hold of them easily. Even a leopard, if it's a leopard around. often see them solitary. They move around. Even there's so many, they wouldn't hunt together in a team. They don't like each other so much. One has to move away from the other. So they give each other space to be able to benefit on their hunt. It's probably a little bit away of arrival here with Egyptian geese land into this very dam here. That's probably why he was just looking around. There was 2 Egyptian geese in this dam when we came in. So water monitor lizards, you see them throughout the year most. Wherever it's possible of water there around, storage issues probably found in there. So hunting methods when they're out of the land, so they stick their tongues out like snakes do as well. But this is how they deduct, and they can track one another through pheromone. When female comes on hit, the male will track her down, but they will track their prey down as well. So when they do that with the tongue, they're actually able to drag their scents into the Jacob and Ogun scent. So we're going to do a little bit of search here, and then I'm going to be sending you across to Lauren.
Considering their size, they're very large animals. They're not comfortable. They don't like to each other's sides, understandably so. And they have a harem structure, so you normally will have one sort of stallion with lots of mares, and they can be really skittish with vehicles. Lions could be lurking around any corner, and of course the zebras know that. We gave them lots of distance, but still, they ran into the thicket. Now, Simbambile is not really very productive today, so we slowly are making our way out. Head back onto Djuma and see what else we can find there. Very much looking forward to going to a chiropractor on leave. These roads are extremely bumpy. Poor cars. Our vehicles do us very well. They sometimes break, but they do us proud. I didn't hear any update on Hukamuri after we lost him the other day. He did have an injury on his right shoulder, and he crossed into the Manguleti. Now there's a fence between the Manguleti and Simbambile. So it's not like he can just come back. There's a fence in the way and a road, so he would have to go all the way back round again. So I don't quite know where Hukamuri ended up. have no idea, Leroy. I've been here 2.5 years. Davi, do you have any idea? 7 years. Davi said he thinks 7 years. I have no idea. We only use Rusty and Wendy now. Good old Jigga is out of operation. So, yes, a very long time, Leroy. They're excellent cars. They're not much to look at, but they're extremely robust. We can get into sort of dreams that other vehicles definitely cannot get through. Not even the insects are buzzing about today. So I've never seen a python in the camp, but we do see them sometimes on drive. I've seen a handful of them in my time here. Never been live, of course. I think I've got one live one sighting with Tingana once, where he was eating a rock python. But it's not believed that he killed it. The story was actually that a honey badger killed it and Tingana stole it. That was an incredible sighting and quite a thing to see him hoist. I think I've had about 5 sightings of rock pythons, but never in camp. We have mamas in camp. We've seen mamas of sort of sand snakes. I think we've seen a Mozambican spitting cobra in camp. We do get a lot of snakes. It's just so rare to get them on drive, which is rather unfortunate. I'm a big fan of snakes. I would love to see them more on drive. Oh, don't fly away, don't fly away. Of course you flew away. An African hoopoe did not want to be on camera. Okay, so we're going to continue bumbling and slowly get back to Djuma, but for now we're going to send you across to Andrew.
Like Lauren, I also came back to this area where Tingana was last seen yesterday afternoon. And I'm just checking if it happens he didn't move far, which he could maybe move far. It's been a long night. So I thought it's worth it to check while we're here. Then again, we're going to return to that position of all dogs, see what they're up to. Walter, so you're asking how do the dogs avoid the lions at night when they're hunting? So that's very critical for them. Sometimes that's where incidents happen, that they get killed by lions. Hunting in the night time, chasing with that speed, it's not cool. So if they see a lion immediately, this is how they have to now immediately get out of the way by running. But they have to give a warning that there is a danger for the rest of the pack to be aware of it. So even during the day, they're more likely to run to lions a lot of time. And they have to get out immediately because lions really, they don't really tolerate each other. They're all carnivore species. dog being so small, there's always chance of him getting killed by big cats. And it's all about competition of source of food, which they all eat meat. And to get the meat, they all have to hunt hard for it. So there is only reason they don't tolerate each other. All of the different carnivorous species. So I'm gonna carry on and search, probably heading in the direction of these wild dogs. I'm gonna be sending you across to Lauren again.
We finally got lucky on Simbambile with one of the most gracious creatures, an elephant. A very remarkably still elephant, which I am not complaining about whatsoever. Clearly threw some muddy water on its head. It's starting to get quite hot, actually. The temperature's increasing, but it's becoming that muggy, sticky, stifling sort of heat. I can't really see from here if it's male or female, but I don't see any other elephants around. I'm going to guess it's a male. I'm going to guess it's a lone bull. There's no bump on its nose, is there, Davy?
I don't think so.
I don't see it from here, no, I don't think so. It's not the same one from yesterday. Now, although elephants do love to swim in the water, they are still incredibly smelly animals. It's a nice smell, it's very organic, but they still smell. You can smell an elephant from extremely far away. Especially a bull that's in must. That temporary madness that they all go through. And they become more and more sort of accustomed to it as they go through life. Just as humans do, I guess. You adjust. They get used to handling their hormones a lot better. And by the time they reach about 40 years old, they're able to still be a gentleman, even although they're in full-blown must. The word must actually has Urdu and Persian origins. And it really does translate to temporary madness or intoxicated. It wasn't fully understood why elephants behaved that way, why their behavior changed or what was wrong for a long time. And it's sort of likened to the rutting and impalas, if you like. The rams, impala rams, also go through a state of madness. Their behavior changes, their little loose social structures change, they fight one another, and they almost stop feeding. They become so focused on the females that they actually lose condition, substantially so. So it's likened to that, a period of madness. And that's where the word comes from. Now, although the lone bulls are alone, yes, they will always be aware of where the herds are. And they will always be able to hear the sort of sounds or communications that the herds are making not too far away. So Jared, you're asking what their best sense is. It's almost what I'm just about to highlight. They have very weak vision. They're not visual animals. Yes, they can see, but that's not their primary sense. Their sort of primary senses are their sense of smell. They have, Davy thinks we can maybe get a better angle. Shall we try? Yep. Their sense of smell, I mean, they can smell fresh water from up to 12 miles away. They're said to have a better sort of sense of smell than bloodhounds. And also hearing, if you like. And I'm going to use hearing very loosely because I'm also going to include in that these infrasounds that they can communicate with one another on their private little channels that humans cannot hear, but they can also detect vibrations. So maybe that wouldn't come under sound, maybe that would come under touch. They're very specialized for detecting vibrations on the ground. The tips of their trunks and on the soles of their feet, they're actually packed with very, very specialized cells, mechanoreceptors. And these receptors can pick up vibrations, and the elephant can understand and process what that means coming from the ground. Again, completely out of realm of what the humans can understand. The cells are packed on the sort of opposite ends of the feet, if you like. So densely packed in the toe area and also densely packed in the heel area. It's not evenly distributed across the entire foot. But out of the whole body is densely packed in the tip of the trunk. And they can detect vibrations. I guess it's not too unlike a lot of organisms in the underwater realm. With that lateral line, they can detect pressure changes. And it's something that humans can really only begin to imagine. So I would say their best senses are their smell, their hearing. They can hear sounds way out of the human hearing range, and the fact that they can detect vibrations, but I'm not sure what sense that would come under. It's all non-verbal. They're also very tactile. They're very tactile organisms when they come across another one of their own species, but that's not the sense that they rely on. Now, when you talk about these cells, these mechanical receptors, it's actually called seismic communication, and that's what it's termed. And the specialized cells are Pacinian corpuscles, but that's a bit of a mouthful. You just call them mechanical receptors. And once they sort of detect the vibration, they send a signal to the brain, and of course, the brain also then understands what message the elephant is receiving. So I think we're going to try and stick with this lone bull a little bit longer.
So now we come to one of the mound structure here. It's not actually in a new mound, but I think it's been there for ages, as you can see. So these termites, the creature that they start their own home, which they dug soil from the underneath, deposit them up, but they use a lot of their saliva to impact the loose soil to actually form mound right to the top of the surface of the ground. And all you see those new marking, dark patch. It's all rebuilding structure that was happening for the last few days. And they're gonna do that. At night, when it's ever cool day or so, they can do it. But it's better when they do it at night. So this mound is still active very much. As you can see, rebuilding taking place like that. It will sometimes be a bigger mound in future, where some of these mounds, some of them can be 60, some can be 50 years old, where they're quite old. But it's better for the queen that she's there to breed so that the mound will sustain, due to the young one giving birth every time.
Sadly, the bull has decided that he's had enough. He was most obliging, and now he's wandering off. Very relaxed, but decided he doesn't want to be on camera anymore. And just going back to that sort of communication, so other mammals also have these specialized cells. It's not just elephants, but they're just particularly densely packed in elephants. There's a lot more of them to help them with seismic communication. And with the acoustic range, this is not the best view, is it? Shall we roll back? Davi's telling me to go forward. Okay, let's go forward and not roll back. What about now? We can just see him through the trees here. He's not doing a very good job of hiding. But yes, with the hearing range, when it comes to elephants, they sort of use different frequencies compared to humans. And let's take a typical human male's voice, not one like mine, a male, more like Dobby's. That comes in at around 110 hertz. A female's voice, like myself, naturally is a little bit higher. Across the board, I'm generally speaking here, that normally comes in at around, on average, 220 hertz. Take a child, for example, that pushes up to 300 hertz. So that's just to give you an idea of different frequencies. Now, among elephants, a typical male rumble can fluctuate at around 12 hertz. Now, that's very, very low. So think of a human male, 110 hertz, and then think of an elephant rumble, 12 hertz. That's incredible. So it's so low. Yes, we can sometimes hear their rumbles and their trumpets, but they can also produce sounds that we just absolutely can't hear. Even if you have super duper human hearing, you still can't hear that. And a female elephant's rumble can come in at about 13 hertz, so it's only 1 hertz of a difference between a male, and a calf, 22 hertz. So there you go. That's across the board a comparison of humans, male, female, and child, and elephants, male, female, and calf. So do we fully understand these organisms other than what we see? I highly doubt it. We use technology to understand these animals. But does that mean we understand them? I don't think so. Their own world, their sensory world, their perception is so different to humans. We can't even begin to imagine. We don't understand what it's like to feel and detect vibrations and compute what that means. We can't hear the frequencies that they're communicating at. We can't smell for 12 miles. So it puts us in a position where we try so hard to understand these animals, but there's most likely a lot that we're missing out. And yes, we can read his body language, because as humans, we're highly visual. On a daily basis, we read body language. We make eye contact. We watch, we observe. We're highly visual beings. So yes, we can read their body language. Yes, we can see them. We can see them interact with each other. We can see them feeding, looking after their young, but it's all observations. I don't really think you can fully understand an animal, any animal, from an eyeless tick to an impala to an elephant, until you really try to understand their sensory worlds and how they use their senses to navigate their landscape, how they process that, how they understand that. Do we really understand what it's like to be a chameleon that sees two different pictures from two different eyes? And the brain can compute that. The brain can compute what is seen on the right and what is seen on the left. At the same time, I don't think so. We can only begin to imagine what is going on there. This gentle giant is thoroughly enjoying the grass. Anaki, you're 8 years old and you're asking how tall can an elephant get? On average, a bull will come in at about 3 meters shoulder height. And shoulder height is just so that the ballpark height that you give an animal. So the top of his shoulders, a bull comes in at about 3 meters, which is 9 feet. And a female, a cow, comes in at about 2.5 meters shoulder height, which is about 7.5 feet, I think. I'm not very good with the conversions to feet from meters. I think we might just get another view of them if I turn up here, Darby. So they're very, very tall, if you think how tall 3 meters is. And that's not the top of the head, remember, that's just shoulder height. But there's actually a bull, I think it's skeletons in the museum in Washington. It's a bull elephant from Angola, and it measured well over 4 meters at shoulder height. So that's 12 feet. So they're very, very tall. And very powerful. There's a lot of trees that as we're driving around that have been completely damaged and pushed over by elephants. Bioengineers, architects of the landscape. Okay, I don't think we're going to be able to get you any more views of this bull, but what a delightful sighting. I actually find lone bulls a lot on Simbambili. This is our third one of today, but earlier we didn't have signal, I'm afraid. There's a lot of lone bulls, and it appears to be the same individuals that we're seeing time and time again. One-eyed pan. I have no idea why it's called one-eyed pan, but it is. I think we've got a dragonfly just in here, Davi, at possibly 10 o'clock. I'm not sure if I'm doing a very good job at describing this. Yes, there they go. Well done. This is the most common species we see right now of dragonflies. Water holes are the best places to come. And sort of, we were just talking about the sensory world, how you can understand an organism. You've got to dive into their sensory worlds. And if you think of dragonflies, I mentioned this the other day, they really have super sight. And in order to have super sight and supervision, you've got to have a brain that's equipped to understand that. You can't have such a remarkable sense with a lot of energy invested into that sense by having sort of eyes that are 360 degrees made up of lots of, 30,000 little pixel units if your brain can't compute what it's seeing. So your brain has to be able to understand and somehow compute the message and relay it back to the organism. And where did you go? They do have a habit of coming back to the same blade of grass. Oh, they're mating. There's a little bit of a chase going on here. And not only are their eyes so incredible, but they're aerial hunters. So they catch their prey in the air and they can move all four wings completely independently, which is quite unusual for insects. And they can fly forwards, backwards, upside down, and even hover. And I believe the US Army actually used dragonflies as models when designing new drones. And that's because of their unique flying ability. So to have that flying ability and be able to have that visual field at the same time, there has to be a brain in action there. There has to be some really fast mechanism to compute everything that's happening at the one time. And it is said that a dragonfly can actually see up to 300 separate images per second and interpret every single one of them. So 300 separate images per second and understand what it's seeing. That baffles me. I actually have to sit and think about it, and my head still can't compute. I mean, humans get confused when we see more than one image per second. 300. So immediately that sort of tells you that there's a lot going on in a little minuscule insect. There's a brain there, a highly intelligent one. Doesn't matter that it's so small. In order to be able to understand that, there's a lot more going on in this dragonfly than you would probably ever be able to understand. And that famous Swedish biologist, Carl Linnaeus, who classified all the organisms way back in time, taxonomy, he publicly said he didn't believe insect had any brains at all. Quite a big jump. But of course now we understand they absolutely do, and dragonflies definitely do. I find looking at dragonflies very peaceful. And I mean, many people would ask, are insects intelligent? And it's a good question. And it really depends on your definition of intelligence, to be perfectly honest. And according to Mensa, the actual official definition of intelligence is the ability to acquire and analyze information. Simple. Acquire and analyze. And, okay, we're maybe not all going to argue that insects deserve to be members of Mensa. But their ability to learn, acquire information about their surroundings, process it, and then act, and then make a judgment, it's not just a skill that's limited to the mammals or the birds. That's intelligence right there. An animal is only as intelligent as it needs to be. So our tiny friends here do have brains. They are understanding what's going on around them from their own unique perception. It's not the same perception as us, and it never will be. But they're understanding it, they're making judgment, and they're actually surviving and thriving. 300 million years dragonflies have roamed our skies. Lorna agreed. I mean, dragonflies come in many different shapes and sizes and colours. But some of them can be absolutely stunning, and I love the bright red body of this one. I think it's a barbet percher. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I actually wrote down a quote. I always write down quotes. I don't know why, it's just something I've always done. And when you think about social insects, you've got your termites, your ants, your honeybees that actually share experiences, divide up the role to benefit the colony, and talk to each other, communicate. Okay, maybe not verbally. When I say talk, I use that word really loosely. And Charles Darwin, in The Descent of Man, actually said, quote, "The brain of an ant is one of the most marvelous atoms of matter in the world, perhaps more so than the brain of man," unquote. And that was way before we know what we know now about ants. They teach one another. There's culture there. In a minuscule insect, there's culture. there's knowledge, there's social skills. And that's in a tiny little ant. So even when Charles Darwin was writing The Descent of Man, he was aware that there's a lot of intelligence when it comes to ants. Because the ability to teach, believe it or not, has only ever been limited to humans. We think that humans are the only ones that teach, but that's very, very incorrect. And animals do too, in many different shapes and forms. So we're finally going to make our way back to Djuma and see if we can spot any last-minute animals for you.
Good luck, Lorraine. I think we're in a position of the dogs. It's very hard to see them, only the grasses. I think you just heard them there. So they're in this thicket. In this situation, this is where they're gonna be around the whole day, I believe. So I'm gonna be sitting here, hopefully they play out when they want to, because we're in a position, we know they're there, they're making noises. So Leslie, you're asking which weather suits the dog the best. Cloudy conditions, so the temperature's got to be anything from above 20, 22 degrees, somewhere there. So yeah, 22, 23 is still fine with them. But anything from 28, 30 degrees, then it's far too hot. So there has to be in this thicket, in the shade. It's very tall grasses here. It's not actually the best place for their own safety, but for cool off it is. Because if anything happen here, if they ever get out, attacked, they won't realize it's a danger until the danger's on them, so it's not good. So we're gonna stay put to see if they would be playful coming out of the thicket for us.
The new year has arrived, and with it comes all kinds of other new beginnings. From hyena cubs to meerkat pups, the bush is full of new life. If you want to find out more, then sign up to be an explorer and join our New Beginnings Fireside Chat. Tristan and Steve will be looking at what's new here in the wilderness as we enter 2021. Join them on the 17th of January, straight after the Sunset Safari. For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique Wild Earth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient quartzites Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's red sand dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with Wild Earth and of course meet the meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motse Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all Wild Earth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
We have a baby pangolin, a baby pangolin. This is off the charts. This animal is about from your fingertips to your elbow. That's the total length of this animal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is like now my 4th Christmas in a week. We should do this more often.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
One of the most exciting animals of the bush. We have a tree squirrel. In all fairness, they really are. Very brave animals. We regularly find them walking into our kitchen to help themselves. Very brave. They know exactly where the nuts are. We have large packets of nuts. And they also alarm call. Not as reliable as an impala, definitely not, but you will hear the and that's a squirrel telling you that they are not happy, something's nearby, but it might not always be a mammalian predator. It could also be snakes on the ground, mongoose. When they're not happy, they're not happy. So sometimes it's reliable. You will find that if you sort of follow the sounds, you may find a predator, but it may not be the predator that you're actually expecting. My father is still fighting a losing battle with these squirrels that are nesting in his attic. Yes, he's slowly losing his mind over it. But our attic at home has become a lovely little home for the squirrels. And I think it's causing a lot of destruction. It's not something, especially in the UK, that you want in your attic. So thank you everyone for jumping on board and supporting the Djuma team today. It's been rather quiet. Lucky Andrew on his wild dogs, but hopefully this afternoon I'll be able to find some spots. So we will be out for our sunset safari. Please do join us then. Goodbye for now.